Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to It's Lit with your author, MJ Kane. How you doing? Tonight, my special guest is author and a good friend of mine, Chelle Ramsey. Welcome to the show, Chelle. Hello. I'm so glad I got you on here. Well, for anybody that's tuning in tonight, if you haven't watched this show before, this is our second episode. As you see, we're filming here at the Grind Time Radio ATL station. And this show, the whole purpose of this evening's show is to introduce readers, fellow authors, anybody who's just ever thought about writing to the talent that we have here in the ATL. And Miss Chelle here is definitely a very talented author. Let me tell you just a little bit about her. I'll read some of your bio, ma'am. All right, Miss Chelle Ramsey is a women's fiction author and blogger. She brings refreshing perspective into the lives of her readers and wants them to find entertainment, healing, and inspiration in each novel. She uses real problems and challenges faced by ordinary people, and she wants her readers to become empowered and to rise above life's adversities with faith in God and belief in themselves. Now, Chelle is a mother and wife. She has 3 kids. So we got some questions to ask you about how you balance life. Don't worry, honey. It ain't got to be perfect because I know I ain't perfect. It's all a challenge. It's all a challenge. Barely getting through. Barely getting through. So yes, ma'am. Again, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. And as you guys know, if you watched last week, one of my things that I want to do with this show, besides getting to learn about how other authors do their thing, I also want to use this as an opportunity to indulge with one of life's beautiful things. As we all know, authors all have their little vices. We'll just say that. And me myself, I'm not necessarily a big wine drinker, and wine drinking is new to me. So I figured, hey, I'm getting to know my author friends. Let me see what it is they sipping on, so I can try something new. So tonight, Michelle has introduced me to. Okay, you can't quite see it. Sangria, yes, which I have actually not even tasted yet. So she took a little sip and said it was pretty good. So hold on. I like that. Yeah, that's not bad. Fruity stuff. Yeah, girl, me too. Fruity stuff. I usually like those mixed drinks.
See, now I'm not much of a drinker, but when I do, it's got to have a little fruit in it. I can't take anything too strong.
Yeah, I got to watch this. Because you can't really do too much of that while you're writing. You ever find that it messes with your... Well, let me ask you this. Well, no, we'll get to that question in just a minute. All right, so some other things, just so you guys know about Chelle. In her spare time, between writing books and whatnot, she's also a blogger and a freelance writer and a ghostwriter. See, everybody has stepped up when we're doing all that.
I started actually ghostwriting romance stories. And you know, that's not my genre. I've never been crazy about romance. And someone reached out to me and asked me about it. And I was like, well, I don't think I can do that. And they were like, well, you got it in your books. And I was like, yeah, just a fan of it. So I tried my hand at it and pleasantly surprised at what I turned out. But I haven't gone that route myself yet. I kind of been dabbling a little bit, but not too deep into it. But yeah, I do ghostwrite romance.
Okay, so you're stronger on the women's fiction.
Because I love the drama.
You love the drama?
Love the drama.
So let me see. You have been a busy girl. Now, I remember some years ago when we both met. I believe you may have been a little bit farther ahead in the writing journey than I was. So maybe we were about the same time. I think this was like about 2009, 2010.
Actually, no, 2012.
Okay. So that was that time. That 2012 was when I was publishing my first book. And which your first book, I believe, is called "Is the Grass Really Greener?"
Okay. So hop back a little bit.
Okay.
The first one was Reflections of Promises, and that came out in June of 2012.
Okay.
And then there was Real Secrets that came out in December of 2012.
Okay.
But being a novice and not knowing anything, I put them out there. They hadn't been edited.
You made that mistake.
No. Exactly. The book covers had been done by me and my husband. I have to be very, I have to tread it real lightly when I say that because his feelings get hurt because he's very protective about that. But we are not graphic designers. And then, so I hadn't had it edited, hadn't had the book covers done ourselves, and just kind of put it out there. And it was actually Chicky Brown that said, hey, you might want to do this. And she introduced me to her editor at the time, and I started sending my books to her. So what happened then was I pulled those 2 books back, and the first book that was edited was Is the Grass Really Greener? Okay, so that's out there. The other 2 will come back later.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Because when you said that, I was like, I haven't heard of those 2. Because I had did a visit to your website just to make sure I had all your current work, that I was knowledgeable about everything. Because you've been a busy girl, and yeah, I was going to say I didn't see those, but I definitely remember. Is the Grass Really Greener? So how did you feel about publishing that one? Because you self-published, right?
Yeah, I have. And honestly, I think when I did that one, I was probably about the same level of excitement that I did with the other ones. I felt proud about that one because I knew that I had it edited, and it was going to be something totally different than the previous 2. However, I have to be honest when I say I don't think any of them have made me feel the way the very first one did. Having that first one out there, seeing it on Amazon, so, oh my God, I'm published. I'm really out here. And it happened on my anniversary at that. So that was like, took me to whole different levels. But I still love Is the Grass Really Greener? In my head, I can envision it actually being a movie. And it had a lot of different details in there about people's lives that I didn't know they were going through at the time. Oh, really? And found out about later. So, but that's like my all-time favorite. If I could have a favorite out of all of them, because I love all of them, but that one just has a special place in my heart.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's good. That's good. And I remember too, because yeah, you're right. Definitely 2012. I swear the time just flies. God. But I definitely remember when Chicky did introduce us, because at that time, that's when I was doing the writer's room. We had first started meeting at the library, then we went over to Barnes and Nobles. And I remember when she was telling me, oh yeah, you got to meet this author and everything. And it was a pleasure meeting you, and wish we could have had more time. But life happens, things happen, and
you got there very, very, very.
I went back to work. I went back to work, and that's a whole nother ball game. Because I know when I first got started writing, for me, writing was something else to do besides playing video games. I am too old to be saying it, but something else to do besides playing video games. Because like literally, I would be at home and the kids would go to school. You know, we get do some housework or whatever. And then it was, all right, well, I ain't got nothing else to do. Hey, The Sims. The Sims is my addiction. Do you play that game?
Oh my God, I just recently became unaddicted to it. I love The Sims. And I was like, I can't get enough time because I gotta go check on my people, and they gotta make some money, and and I'm working them half to death, and oh my God, oh yeah.
So here's the question: have you ever, when playing that game, did you ever, in creation of the characters, make them be like your characters or anybody in your stories?
Actually, no, I didn't. You didn't? I never did that. That was me.
That was like your question, yes, honey. An only child here, Barbie dolls and dolls all the time. So it was always stories going through my head with dolls. So I think the Sims had became my like electronic dolls. Except they moved and did stuff. Yeah. So that was one of the things, because when I would play, I would just be playing and just like creating people. But around the time that I started writing, I found that the characteristics that I was putting into my characters, I put into the Sims, which I love. The fact that the newer versions of the Sims let you do the personalities and their likes and dislikes and stuff. Oh my, that's what makes it so addictive. You will spend a whole doggone day designing the people, trying to figure out, I want them to act like this, I want to act like that. Oh, they need to have hair, and they need these outfits. Now that was my clothes.
and changing them and changing the hairstyles. It was like paper dolls all over again, going back to being little kids. Exactly. That's it. I'm so addicted. Did I just reveal too much about my age?
Don't worry, we right there together. We right there together. Yeah, speaking of paper dolls, I was telling my two daughters about paper dolls probably about a couple of years ago. And I don't know why. Oh, because my daughters, especially my youngest one, she loves playing games on her cell phone that are like doll, dressing up the dolls and doing the hair and designing the outfits and stuff. And I got to looking at it one day, and that's what I said. I'm like, that's like an electronic paper doll. Paper doll, what's that? I was like, oh, y'all know. Google it. And we driving down the street and everything, and I had them Google it and, Google the images, and they were looking at like, oh.
You didn't know what they were missing out on. That's okay. That's okay. Poor children these days, they're so deprived.
I know. They don't go outside no more. They don't do nothing no more. They don't read no more. Everything is touch. They don't know what they're missing from books. Yeah. And it kind of makes you wonder what the future of storytelling is going to be at some point, because it's like most authors, especially popular authors, we're all in a certain age group. You know what I'm saying? I will say, with me working at the library, I do have some younger kids that I have talked to who have said that they like the idea of writing and, have developed their own little stories and whatnot. I wish I haven't had a chance to read any of them. But I'm like, but the fact that you don't even see that many kids, teenagers, coming and checking out books anymore. It's like we see the same 20 teenagers come pick out books. They're the only ones reading. So it's like, what are the rest of the kids doing?
And see, I think back, especially thinking back to being a teenager, even before then, I look forward to going to the library. That was a huge thing for me, and me and my mom would go, and when I was a little kid, especially on those rainy days, I'd go in there and cuddle up to her, and we'd both be reading a book or whatever. By the time I got to be a teenager, we kind of both read the same books, and she was like, you need to hurry up with that book. I'm ready for it now. It's like, you don't have to wait. And it would be James Patterson, Danielle Steele, V.C. Andrews, Terry McMillan. But going to the library was like everything to me. And where, I look at my kids now, I'm bored, I don't have anything to do. I would pick up a book. I know. Or pick up a notebook pad and a pencil and just be gone. I don't really think I had too many boring days. Like, honestly, I prefer reading a book to going outside. Not that I wouldn't go outside, but that book, it was just, I was in heaven.
Yeah, that was me. Because again, on the shop, work in the country, play with the dogs. Eventually, you got to the point where you was going too old to be playing with those dogs. But you had to keep yourself entertained. And, all them 275 channels on cable weren't there. It's kind of messed up. You can say you remember when the Disney Channel got started. And it's funny. I was talking about kids. What's that guy's name? I don't remember. He recently died. He sang the song, Baby, I Love You. And he said, I love you. I ain't going to try to sing this. God knows y'all don't want me to do that. But he sings, God knows y'all don't want me to do that. How did it keeps going? Over and over again. I think his name is Lenny something. I almost want to say Lenny Wilkins or Wilkins. Okay. So on the song, he's singing, I watched TV until TV went off. And I'm telling the kids about it. Yes, song. Back in the day, my kids were like, they looking at me like, what are you talking about TV? And I was like, TV went off, they made a leaping sound, and the American flag was on there, and nothing I didn't hear a lie. And the people went home, and they went to bed. Yeah, and they tried to tell you, take your butt to bed, or read a book. Exactly. Yeah, back in the day. You had to wait till whatever time the TV station came. Oh, do you remember getting up Saturday mornings for Saturday morning cartoons? You sitting in front of TV with your bowl of cereal, because that's always how the cartoons came on.
That was the only time it came on.
And then they were Saturday mornings. By off at a certain time, they were just like room TV.
And then by the time it went on,
then you could go outside
because you couldn't go over anybody's house too early. Mom was like, I don't have nobody help that time of morning. It's too early to be calling anybody. It's too early to go to anybody's house. I hear phones ring at any given particular time. Everybody's texting at any given particular time. When did you go to sleep? I caught a few hours in there somewhere. The internet and technology are best friend and our worst enemy all at the same time.
Yes. Okay, hold on 1 second. Because while we're not talking about age and stuff, while we're not talking about age and stuff, I actually want to take a second and look, because it looks like we got some.
Yeah, Marcella had one specific question.
All right, now try to get to the page that I can actually read it, because I ain't got to read that.
Do you want me to tell you what she said? She was asking Chelle, was it a hard decision? MJ did not. MJ did not introduce you. We try to know this is too much. Marcella asked, was it a hard decision to self-publish?
Actually, pursuing a writing career, period, was a hard decision. And primarily because I started around the age of 12. And I started, it was entertainment and it was healing for me. It was very therapeutic for a lot of things I was going through at that time. And it was all personal. And I never shared it with anybody. No one had ever seen my writings. My husband, who at that time was my boyfriend by the time I turned 22, 23, he found a bunch of unfinished stories in a box, hidden in a closet of mine, and he started encouraging me. And he loved them. And in my mind, it was like, well, you're supposed to, because you love me, right? So I really didn't think anything about it, and he kept pushing through the years. And then I had another friend who's a very close friend of mine, Sherry Bloomfree, got a hold of him, and she started encouraging me. You're supposed to. You're my closest girlfriend. So I still didn't listen. And it wasn't until very end, actually 2011, that I was having one of my book club meetings, and my husband encouraged me to share Reflections of Promises anonymously. And he said, "Oh, tell him that it's you. Tell him it's a girlfriend of yours, and she's trying to determine whether or not she wants to publish it or if she shouldn't." And so I was like, I really don't want to, because in my mind, it was so personal, and I think maybe a lot of artists go through it. It was a fear of rejection. I didn't know that I could deal with anybody having anything negative to say, and I didn't want to put myself out there like that to be judged. So I was still hesitant about it. And he went ahead and convinced me. I shared it with him. And probably the day after our meeting, I started getting phone calls. And they wanted to fight some of the characters. They were angry. They were crying. And they were just going on and on and on. And so when we came back together at our next meeting and everybody put everything out there, I finally revealed that it was me. And they were blown away. It was like, I didn't know you wrote. Because I didn't share that with it. Like, my family didn't even know. And so at that particular point, they really encouraged me to go ahead and go, the publishing route. And I tried going through finding a literary agent, and they were like, this isn't what we're looking for. So then I got discouraged again. And I was like, it's not good enough. And then I think it was right around April or May of 2012, this little company called Book Tango sent me an email, and they wanted to help get me published and all this stuff, and I still was kind of hesitant, but there was going to be no cost. And he was like, here's your shot, I think everything's lining up for you. You need to go out and just do it, see what happens, worst case scenario. And I did, and I put the first two out there, and I didn't too much like that experience in terms of there was no marketing on their end at all. So I had to kind of learn about that. And then after that, I decided, you know what? I've learned enough from working with them that I can try it on my own. And so I decided to do it, and then that's when I put out Is the Grass Really Greener? And after that, I mean, I still got so much to learn, but it was just nonstop. You know, I haven't regretted a single moment of this journey. But getting to that day of self-publishing, to answer your question, yeah, I was very hesitant in the beginning. It was just simply because of fear of rejection, nothing more.
Yeah, I think all authors will definitely have to go through that. Yeah, because I know myself, I was nervous too, but for me, it's so funny because when I started writing, it was like you were saying, for you, it was a moment of like healing, and they had some things you may have been dealing with, and kind of a way to escape. And I guess since again too old to play with dolls, it was a way to keep myself preoccupied and like. Me, I never thought about writing. I've always just been the book reader. You know, I'll be the one to take the kids to the library, and it's like everybody got to have at least 5 books. And I have my 5. You know, we all walking up there in the library looking at us like, okay, all them daggone books. Because I got 4 kids, so that's a whole bunch of books. They have to check out and you bring back in and all this other stuff. But it wasn't until that I had just took a little writing challenge that I ran across online for a TV show I used to watch. That is what spurred me on and got me going. And it was like, wow, I actually like this. So do you find that for you writing, do you have days where like maybe you miss writing, or for whatever reason your life schedule, family, and everything, and things come up to where it's hard to balance and have the time, especially if you're writing in the process of working on a project. I know for myself, when I'm really in that mode and I can't get to my writings, you have time to actually write, even if it's like for 15 minutes on a lunch break, you get cranky.
I do. Because I feel like, to a certain extent, I let my emotions out that way. And I am a very passionate person. I'm very emotional. There's no middle ground with me. I'm either way here or way there. And so I pour it out through my writing. And but I think sometimes I balance it out pretty well. Like, you know, we were just on vacation here recently. We just came back today, got to Atlanta. But this whole week, I think the last time I wrote was probably Wednesday. Yeah, it would have been Wednesday. And I usually try to write every single day. You know, when I come in, get home from work, sometimes I still have more work to do for my job. But I will have at least half an hour where I have to put something down. And if I don't, I'm feeling it. You know, and I've got an attitude. And usually I got an attitude with my job. Like, well, if it wasn't for them, they were taking up all my time, you know. So usually it's that. But yeah, I definitely do. If I miss that writing time, I feel it. And, you know, and people know. Like, what's wrong with you?
Now, I see you have an MBA in Human Resource Management.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. That's nice. How long have you been doing it?
I actually have only been doing human resources. Okay, so I hate numbers, but I've been working in accounting positions and financial administrative positions forever. Don't know how I got into it. Thank you, husband of mine. But he seemed to convince me that I was good at it, and then some other people believed that hype for some reason, so I was stuck in that forever. But I actually had small human resource tasks, and probably the last 10 years of my positions, but that wasn't my major focus. So now that the company that I'm with, it's all human resources. So it's been interesting, to say the least. It's definitely a different journey than the one I've been on before, especially learning all the laws, what you can say, what you can't say, what you can and can't do. And the company that I work for, we definitely have unions in place, so I have to tread very carefully.
Oh, wow.
But it's great knowledge that I'm learning, and actually getting to put a lot of that into practice. I have to say I love it, and I've met some amazing people there, so I don't regret it other than when I can't have my writing time. Yeah, that would be it.
So have you found any of the experiences that you've had at work, maybe, like you said, with human resources, I'm pretty sure you hit
privy to a bunch of information, which of course you can't share.
Shy away from it.
Yeah, okay, so never mind. Let me rephrase my question. Just in life in general and people you know, have you ever run across or heard anything that may have inspired a story that you may have written? Or a character or anything like that? Because since you like to write about real life, um, but yeah, real life, which is the same thing that I like writing about. I don't like doing that way too out there fantasy kind of stuff, which yeah, I like right now because I'm women's fiction author too. So that's the heart of it right there.
And that's what I do love about your stories too, because even though it does have that romance in there, they definitely go through their problems.
Oh,
They have to work through it, and I love that.
yeah. Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. Has there anything like major that has been maybe been an inspiration for a story or for a character or a character attribute or anything like that?
Here recently, I have, and I think some of the people that I've honestly met at work, there's one particular girl, she's got a great personality. I'm working on a book now that particular person has a lot of her personality traits. Very sweet girl, but it's just some of the issues that she's dealing with. Nothing like this particular person, of course, but her attributes are a lot like hers. But other than that, I usually don't. I try to stay away from that. Now, you can't tell my mother and my mother-in-law that. They swear up and down that this person is that person and this person is that person, and they know it. And my mom told me that my brother seems to think that he's black from the House of the Jewel series, but he is not black. Because I do not see him that way. But he likes to believe he's a baller, he's a ladies' man, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to let him have that image of himself, but he is not that character. So all the other characters, all of my stories, they started out from dreams I have. I have the craziest dream. And I'll jump up and I'll jot that down, and that's what that is. Or I can see people out on the street and something about them will strike me a certain way, and I'll make up a story about it in my head, just random. It can be mailman, and whatever he's going through in life. So that's where a lot of it comes from, but not typically anybody. I know I try to stay away from their issues because I don't want anybody talking about this, that, or the other. No, I'm not that interested.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be necessarily wearing one of those T-shirts. You see those on Facebook all the time. It's like, I am an author, the things that you may do may be, brought up in the book, or I'm an author, piss me off and I will kill you. You come up with random
Now
stuff.
that you said that, I have to go back. Because in my ghostwriting project, somebody did actually get killed off in one of the romance novels. I will say this person was a boss, and I'm going to leave it at that. And they got killed off. And it wasn't written under Chelle Ramsey, so you never know.
You know. Yes, it. So tell me about your series, Bejeweled. Now, I have to say to you, again, because you should know what my book covers look like. I think we're coming from the same place with the whole skip the half naked people, the people in the embrace, the people kissing, all of that. I've never. Well, I'll just put it this way: when I did read books a lot, romance was not the genre that I read.
Me too.
I didn't even read anything that had it. I didn't. Yeah, no, I was always Star Wars, sci-fi. John Grisham, that's all of that stuff. God, now I can't even think of the name of the author. Michael Crichton. I like that stuff, especially Michael Crichton, because he did all of what's that dinosaur movie? See, people with the brain just went. Yep, exactly.
Well, with that being said, or not being said, I wasn't really into romance, but I did do the Danielle Steele stories because my mom would have them, and I kind of, did enjoy those. But then once I got out on my own and was grown, I kind of veered away from that, and I got more into James Patterson, Stuart Woods, Terry McMillan, stayed, looking at her stuff. And I love suspense and mystery. I mystery. That's my absolute favorite of all time. So those are the ones that I, kind of my reading geared towards until I started writing um, as a published author. And then once I started doing that and started being open up to more indie artists, I sampled different people's out. And I really still stayed away from romance until I started reading Chickies. And she does a women's fiction, but she has a lot of romance in hers too. So that opened me up. And then Tay Russ, I love her novels. But other than that, I've never really been heavily into romance at all. And still, that's just not my thing. I gotta have some drama. I've gotta have some who did it, who done it. As they say, who done it in your series? I have I have some who done it on a different level. I have not done the murders. I have had some people killed off, and I'm always accused of why you want to have them killed. I don't know. It's just like somebody dying. Just somebody got to die. And so in the house of the jewel, somebody eventually had to die. They just had to. It was only right in my mind. So, as well as in my current novel, Woman's Design Affliction. Somebody has. Yes, I love that cover. That is a beautiful cover. Thank you. Congratulations on that release. Thank you. But so someone even and one day I might try my hand at mystery. I keep saying I will, but I worry that I may not be able to do it the justice it deserves. So I don't know. I'll have to see.
I thought about writing sci-fi myself because that's what surprises me is that with all the different genres that I love reading and I find it entertains me the most. When I decided to start writing, my story did not go to any of those lists at all. And the fact that it turned into women's fiction, it was so funny because as you were mentioning Chicky, when I first met her was when I was when I was at the beginning stages of my writing journey, and she was nice enough to take me under her wing. It was a trip that when I would submit what I had written to her and some other writers in the writers group, I literally was like, I don't know what genre this is. Can somebody tell me? I don't know. I didn't really want it to be romance, but what is this exactly? So they said, oh, well, this is more like women's fiction. I literally was jumping on the internet. Exactly what is women's fiction? So it was
You should find exactly what I was writing. So I was like, I don't know what this is. I just know it's what I'm doing, and this is what I'm feeling.
So when you write your stories, do you feel like you have to follow certain writing rules to just stay mostly women's fiction, or do you just kind of just like go wherever the story goes and it just follows wherever it follows?
I'm a rebel. I'm defiant. I'm gonna do me. And at the end of the day, it's whatever happens and whatever. Honestly, sometimes I don't even know how I'm gonna end the story. It just whatever's gonna happen in that is gonna happen. If they shut down and they stop speaking to me, I leave them alone for that time period and I go on to a different project. And, I just allow it to flow however it flows. And I actually tried, you shared with me an outline, which I absolutely loved. It was phenomenal in this series. And it was necessary. But I've since veered back away from that. I am a diehard pantser. But I still try to stick to certain elements of that outline as far as mapping out their personality traits. Really, like what's their backstory and things like that.
Like when I talk to other people about writing, the importance of doing at least a character chart. If you don't do anything else, if you don't feel the need to outline your story because you got to write by that seat of the pants and just see where it takes you or whatever, as long as you got to have that character chart, because that character chart is how you know who this person is. And how
you actually feel like you know them.
Exactly.
You develop that out. Once you flush them out, it's like, I know this person. So, sometimes I can be writing something, and every time I write, I have to, after I get so many chapters in, I read it to my husband. Every single book. And it's like, okay, I get 3 chapters in, hey, it's time for you to come and listen. And he can tell me, like, especially with Olivia, sometimes he was like, that's not Olivia. You're out of her character. And it was so good to me because I'd go back and I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to step away from her for a while. I would come back and read it. And I'm like, oh, he was so right. I was way out of left field on that. She wouldn't have done this. She wouldn't have done that. And having that chart, sometimes you can go back and looking at that, and it's like, okay, let's
This
get
is
back
how
to
they are.
and this is how they
should react in this
Exactly.
particular situation.
Exactly.
Because of that particular experience they had back when they were 10 years old.
And so they may not have an outline of this is what's going to happen in this chapter, this chapter, this chapter. I would never do that because that's just not who I am. Let me not say never. I just don't foresee myself ever doing that because that's not who I am. But I definitely will have that character trait played out for each of them. You know, it's just, it works well. It really does work well, and it kind of gives you that balance so that all of your characters don't come out sounding alike.
Especially when you're writing a series, and this is what, a 4-book series? Especially when you're writing a multiple book series to where the characters who may be a main character in one particular book, but the next story is not necessarily about them, but they're still in the background and have some speaking roles or moments or whatever. That was always my biggest fear when writing was, and this is so funny because it wasn't with the female characters, and I felt like, all right, I got these 3 girls, and these girls, we got the one who's like the little uppity one, you got the one who's the whole, because every group got one.
Yes, they do.
You already know all groups, all female groups got one, and then you got the one
sign afflictions.
And then you have the one that's always a little flighty one.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, okay, it's not going to be too hard. Especially because they were all 3, you know, one was black, one was white, one was biracial. Okay, that's pretty easy, you know. But it was like the men, I'm like, oh my God, the last thing I want is all these guys to sound alike. Or have the exact same characteristics or anything like that. Because I ran across a popular author whose books I've read, and because she has so like hundreds of books, you know, even though they are all different stories and whatnot, there have been times to where I literally could recognize the male character sounded like another male character from a whole nother book written a couple of years before. And I was like, wow, that has always been my biggest fear. So I could not have gotten away from doing that without using that character chart.
And I think another thing that helps me, especially when it comes to the men, because one thing that bothers me is when you have a male character, the things that he says that you really can't see a male saying or doing, that sounds more like a female. My husband is huge in that. And so I'll say, like, you know, in book 3, where Wes had his basketball scene, and I was writing a basketball scene, I was like, well, what would happen if this, and that? And he was like, you know, this is how they would come. And as he was talking, I started writing word for word everything he was saying. And when I read it back to him, he was like, you got all that? I was like, yeah. And he was like, because I really wanted it to be realistic, you know, the attitude that was coming off. Yeah. Because he's in his emotions over this female that he can't have at this particular time. And, you know, you kind of coming hard on the court. And they're like, you need to take your game down a bit. You playing a bit hard. And so every interaction that they had was so realistic, from the language, the tone, and everything. And I always try to pull him in when I'm talking about my guys. And then I have to, you know, kind of be careful, because what I will say is all of my male characters, the good ones and the bad ones, with the exception of Tyrone the Diva, all of them have some of my husband in them. They have some of his, you know, personality traits in them, but he is very good at, once again, pulling me back to say, he would do that. This is not how this one would react, because you got him like this, and this. And I'll point it out, and I'm like, you gotta play this. You gotta play this. So he keeps me balanced on that a lot.
I'm gonna step in again for a second. So Marcella said that you should probably drink a little wine, MJ. So she now has 2 questions. First off, but she also has a comment. Her comment was that you are a lady after her own love, because she loves mystery and suspense. She asks, first question, is it hard coming up with names to characters?
Okay.
And her second question, do you have a writer's shorthand that only you can read or understand?
Oh, that's a good one. That is good. For that one, let me answer them backwards. No, I don't. I actually don't. Um, no, usually when I sit down at that computer, I just go full steam ahead, and I just write and just let it write until I've written myself out, and I just don't feel it anymore. As far as the names are concerned, sometimes the name will pop up in my head, and I know that I have to do that name. But my kids, especially my daughter, is very instrumental with the names. So what I'll do is I might do a search of names. Um, I might go on Google and use random name generators. Sometimes I might use, like here recently, I've used names that are non-gender specific. And so they'll give me a list of names, and I'll come up, I'll find all of my favorite ones, and then I'll run them past my kids and have them to vote. And sometimes my son may get way, way out there, so I have to pull it back in and look towards my daughter, and she'll give me what sounds, better. And so I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this. And if there's anything that's a tie, then my husband gets to be the tiebreaker. But that's how I usually come up with my names, searching them on the internet, or either, like I said, sometimes something will just pop off in my head, and I know I have to, because for whatever reason, I heard that name loud and clear. I can't ignore it, so I go with it.
So do you use, I know I do this, do you use actors or actresses as like the character, just as a character reference?
I do the visual images, I do. And what I try to do is some of them are famous actors and actresses, and some of them are famous models. Lately, I've been leaning more towards the models than anything, and I will Google certain specific traits because I'm not always familiar with maybe somebody's name. I might have seen them, but I have no idea who that person is. And so, like with A Woman's Design Afflictions, all of those ladies, all three of them are models. And Ambiance and Naomi are plus size lingerie models. So, if anybody sees a lot of the promos that I've been putting out, and help them look a little more sensual and sexy than normal, that's what that is.
Okay.
Paige she's a model and an actress, but she's not a lingerie model. But that's usually what I do. And then with the House of the Jewel, I use more actresses. In that one. And then I found one particular model. I have no idea who she was, but she had to be Rory because she had a certain attitude on her face and the hair and everything. But the only thing I have to be careful of when I trap myself like that, and that's what I consider it, because that's what I did with Paige initially and had to pull back, is that when you find that one person, you don't know who they are, you can't find other images like that. And I even tried to do the reverse Google image thing. Couldn't find other images like that of that person out there. So it's like it becomes really hard when you're trying to do all these promos and graphics because you don't know who they are. So, yeah.
Interesting. Now, you were saying something a few minutes ago that I thought, why I don't necessarily do this. You were saying that, actually, you were saying that when you're writing and you get to a certain point, how you'll sit down and you'll read aloud to your husband. I have never done that. I have never done that. I don't know why, other than the fact that I just don't feel like ready to share like that. It's interesting. Now I'll ask Lady Kane, I'll just be coming there and be like, hey, I got a question for you. This is what I'm working on. Blah 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 blah. What do you think if this particular scenario happened? Or do you think this kind? I'll ask those kind of questions. And then she's beta read for me, and then I'll send to other beta readers. But I guess I feel like, and my husband too, I will go ask him if there are specific things that a guy would or would not necessarily do, or what would you do if this was you? Right. I'll ask those kind of questions. But I guess I tend to feel like this is how I see it in my head. I guess I kind of get stubborn like that. But I can I will to where it's like I see it like this. If I don't do it like this and somebody tries to push me off or put me on this path,
I'm not gonna like it. It's gonna take away the creativity. And it's like, let me do it this way, and then when I do it, read it, and then if it don't work, tell me, and then I'll be like, oh, okay. But at least I got it out there and did that.
Now, that was a huge problem for me and my husband for a while because I wanted it like it. Don't tell me it doesn't work. And I would get mad at, I'm telling you, book 3 almost didn't happen. It almost did not happen because I got to the end where Nikki is sharing her story and she's speaking out to people. And she's talking to survivors of domestic abuse, and she's giving off this message. And he did not like the way that she gave off her message. And I got mad. And I was like, because you're making her still sound like she's a victim when truthfully, and he was right, she owns some of the responsibility in it. And I know that sounds crazy, and some people might bash me for that, but in her instance, she had ample opportunities to leave. She had ample opportunities to do a lot of things. And she actually did stay on quite a few occasions, but she chose to go back. She chose to make up excuses for his behavior. And so at the end, she had to, when she sent out her message, she had to own her responsibility and say, you know what? I needed to love me more. I needed to believe in myself more. Instead of saying, well, he did this and he did this and he did this. She was like, once I learned to love me, once I learned to believe in myself and become strong within myself, then I could do what I needed to do. Then I could make this difference, instead of constantly saying, well, for me, pity on me, even after I'm out of that situation. And so there was a lot of back and forth that he and I felt like this particular message should go out a certain way. We didn't agree on it. And so I was just like, well, forget it. I'm just not going to do it. And he was like, okay. And he was like, oh, and I was like, well, what about this? How does this sound? He was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You already got your mind made up. Don't come. Don't ask my opinion. I'm nothing. And so we went through that for a while. And then he finally had to come to a point where he was like, if you want to hear my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give it honestly. But it's up to you what you put in that book and what you don't put in that book. I'm not saying you have to do it this way. And then I had to come to a place where I said, okay, I did ask your opinion, so if I'm going to ask it, I need to listen to it. Even if I don't really like it, I don't think you know what you're talking about. But in the end, he was right. I put it out there. And I had, at that particular point, changed up my beta readers. My beta readers were no longer necessarily family and friends who said, I love everything you write and you're awesome anyway. But they were people who gave it to me real. And one of them was Sharon Blunt. And she was very vocal about how she felt about it. And she let me know her thoughts on it and everything. And I really appreciated it. And so when I put that one out there and rewrote that part that way, she actually liked it as well as some of my other baby readers. And they were like, this is good. This is good. I can relate to this. And I think there again, that goes back to when we say it's hard for us as an artist sometimes to put things out there because it's your baby. You don't want anyone to judge it in a negative way, but everybody's going to have their opinions, one way or the other. So you keep on moving and you grow from there.
So have you ever had a situation in one of your books? Because this is something that I've recently been dealing with myself, especially in writing a series where you have a following that is really in tune with the way that you write and your storytelling and just say maybe what's going on with particular characters or whatnot. Have you ever got to a point in your writings where you're like, all right, look, I know this is generally how things have been going, but I really need to amp it up. I need to push. I need to do something that readers haven't seen me do before in the story and address something specifically in the storyline to where the feedback on this might not be all that great, but how do you handle that? Do you really go well, I'm just going to stick with what I like. I know my readers would like, so that there's not any bad backlash or anything like that? Or do you just say, you know what? I'm telling the story. This is what's happening. This is what needs to happen with these characters. And,
here's what it is. For me, what I try to do is try to stay true to something I started a long time ago and say, all right, Lord, have your way. Flow through me, let your creativity do what it does. And so whatever is speaking to me at that moment, I have to be true to. And sometimes I know it may or may not be well received, and as much as I want it to be,
I have to go with what I'm feeling in that moment because I feel like if at any given time I don't stay true to what I'm really feeling or the route that I'm going, that I'm not connecting with it, I think it's going to show. I think it's going to show in my writing, and I feel like I will be selling myself out and I can't do that, So it's like they're going to love it or they're not, but I'm going to stay true, and I think a lot of people, even down to when you talk about genres, sometimes people get pulled into that trap of, oh, well, romance is trending right now, and this is trending right now, so I'm going to go this route. And I don't think you should do that. I think you should really write what you feel, who you are, because that's where your true talent and your gifts can shine. Trying to do something someone else thinks you should do or write the way other people write is going to show in the end, and it's not going to be reflective of who you are as an author or your brand.
That's very true. And it's so funny that you brought that up like that this week because I was on Facebook earlier this week and I saw a book cover and genre that I'm like shape shifting, and paranormal stuff is really, really popular right now. Especially since you done had on like Twilights and all this other stuff that's been going on. And it's like you were saying, you have some people who will jump on the train of whatever is hot right now, and that's on the right. Right. And it's just it's just been crazy to me, different things that I've seen online over the last couple of months of genres I would have never thought of. Like I ran across a genre that was literally, it wasn't just a shapeshifter. It wasn't, okay, I think they were like a dragon shape-shifting vampire or something. It was like three different things all balled into one. I was like, this is this. Okay.
Yeah. There again, don't stay true to you.
So I'm like, okay, so yeah, I can understand this is the genre you like, jump into that genre, but when you try, you can't figure out which one of these, there's like three of them popular, werewolves are popular, vampires are popular, we just gonna get everything all of them in one, because I literally looked at the back cover and read it, and I was like, they really did say all of this in one. Good God. Oh, and also I think they were aliens and some of the sexiest beings alive. See, I'm like, I honestly can't even remember the author. I honestly, but I probably can find it, Google it for you. Good child. But yeah, and I was like, that's why I put a post up on my Facebook page earlier this week, and I was like, when you see that book coming and make you question what genre you writing in,
you know what? Everybody has their right.
I'm not. No, I ain't not hating on nobody's genre, but I'm just like,
you need to let your gifts speak for itself. Let it speak through you. Don't try to force it. If it don't fit.
Yeah, which is why I say it's still, even what I'm working on my sixth book now. It still amazes me that when I started writing, that I actually fell into romance / women's fiction, and it's so funny because when I first started reading romance novels, literally I was at work. And I had just finished reading the last novel in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, like the third time. Because I always like reading at work, because especially at the job that I was at the time, I'm like, I don't really like some people come in here, so I'm just gonna sit here and read on my lunch break to keep out of something unnecessary. So they already knew Risha's in there reading. She is reading right now. So leave her alone. Yeah. So I remember I had just started my lunch break, and I had read the last of the book, and I had nothing else to read, and I was like, "Oh God, I have no books. Oh, that's a long lunch break." And one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, I got some books in my drawer," and I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, okay. What you got?" Whole bunch. I mean, she had about 15 romance novels, like Silhouette and Harlequin. I'm like,
So what am I supposed to do with this? This is cheesy crap. What the heck is this about? But because I couldn't stand being bored for 45 minutes, and I had nothing else to do, I started reading, and I read the whole book. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember what it was, but it was either Danielle Steele or more than likely a Nora Roberts, like one of her early Nora Roberts books. And I was like, oh, okay, so this book is not all about sex, because that's how most of us grew up. Oh, you don't want to read romance, not romance. Just porn in the book, And that's kind of what I had thought, because like I said, I never really read it. So when I read it and I realized, oh, there's actually a story in here. Oh, okay. So Nora Roberts was my first person to really get into my first real introduction into romance novel. So I went through this whole series, this whole period of time where that's all I check out. Nora Roberts. Then I found out she had the J.D. Robbins stuff. God, I love those.
That's what I love.
I love those.
Yes.
Woo,
Yeah.
Yeah, the in-depth series. I love those. And so when I did finally start writing, and I found that my stories had to take on the romance aspect, do you know writing a love scene was the hardest thing I ever had to do? And that face was because
Let's just say my husband was like, babe, I need you to clean up some of the language. Are you doing erotica or are you doing what's really going on here? I was like, oh, what's wrong? And he was like, oh, yeah, that scene where you said this. Well, can you just clean it up just a little bit? So, yeah. Sure.
so okay. So did you jump right into when you did decide that you were gonna write? Did you just jump right into it, or did you push it away for a while? Because like
I didn't push it away. But it got very graphic and very detailed.
Well, see, for me, when I was writing that first book, when I came up to the spot, I was like, well, this is where one will go.
You heard cricket.
Blank page, love scene. Next chapter, hey, like, here we go. I literally had to finish writing. It was like, oh yeah, I got to insert one here. It's like literally, that's what it was. It's like that little said, and that little tab, insert here. And then it was like, keep on going. And then when I went back and started doing the editing, it was like, she got the right one. Oh my god, it was so funny. I had a girlfriend of mine back then. When I had mentioned to her that I was writing, she was like, oh man, because she loves reading too. And I told her what I was writing, that I was having a hard time with writing those. She decided, oh girl, I got some books you can take home that you can read, and this will tell you how to do. So then all of a sudden it went from reading books, taking books out and reading books about how to write and tell stories, and how to, it was from that to how to write a love scene. It's like, this is a whole other level of research. I did not
look more than clean up than anything. And appropriate manner, I guess I was saying, for lack of a better word. I struggled with that. But just putting it out there. I didn't have a problem.
See, you sound like me.
I had no problem.
Mine, the first one, when I finally did, that's when it just was like, whoa, yeah, right it back in. Clean that up. Let's make it. Good grief.
My mother-in-law read.
Oh, you brought up the moms? Yes. Because I got started
read. Oh my goodness, what did she read? She read Is the Grass Really Greener? No. She read Reflections and Promises when that first came out. And she didn't know what to do. And she was just like, oh my. She said, Michelle, you wrote that? I was like, yes, ma'am. She said, I didn't know how to feel. I can't believe you wrote something like that. I said, what's wrong? She said, they was just doing some stuff. She said, and I had been telling all the people in the church. I was like,
girl, let me say y'all, after church on Sunday. Girl, let me tell you about my daughter. She got this book. You need to read it. And then the next Sunday, everybody read. They all sitting there looking at her like, We all didn't just get here by magnet
I
conception.
don't know how to feel now. He was like, "Say, good, good." I was just feeling my way like, "No." And then my mama came along. She was like, "Girl, when is the next one coming out?" I was like, she was like, "I love it," and so she gets all into it, and especially with this series. And she wanted to know. At some point, Nikki got pregnant. She wanted to know who the baby's daddy was, and she got all upset. And it was like taking her off of soap operas, and she was having a fit.
Oh wow!
But then I was still kind of feeling my way. I was like, okay, that's my mama, but I know she loves reading anyway, so that's cool. And then my first lady asked to read one of my novels. I was like, well, here's the problem with that. And she let me know. She said, you know what? She said, I am good in my spiritual journey. I am okay with who I am. I'm not struggling with anything, so I'm good. I can read this. And she went on, and she read it, and she loved it. And her reaction to me helped me to be okay with where I was at. And I think that was another huge struggle I was going through anyway, was because I was always walking on the line. It's like, okay, I'm a Christian, but I write women's fiction, and it's a lot of drama. So if I'm writing a scene about domestic violence, he's not going to say, "Come here and get your little behind over here right now." No, he's going to talk to her some kind of way. She's going to be some kind of names, and she's going to, he's going to put it out there the way it is.
Yeah. The drama. Right on time.
He's going to say what he's going to say, and he's going to be how he's going to be, and it's going to be raw, and it's going to be hardcore. And so I kind of, felt my own way about that. And my editor, she told me, my editor at the time, she said, look, do what you're doing. She said, because if you want to pull anyone into Christ, they're not going to get that message. They're not going to go out there and pick up a Christian book if they're not already a Christian.
Yeah.
She said, they're going to want to read the drama that, deep down here. She said, but the way that you weave your inspirational message in is what's going to pull them in. So keep doing what you do. And those few things, like I said, my mom's reaction, my first lady's reaction, and my editor's, confirmation to me got me to a place where I was like, I'm good. And, so when I write the love stories, okay, you clean it up. We make it all good. It doesn't have to get deep down in the gut.
So then the next question is, are you a close the door kind of writer or finish line? Okay, do it that way.
Talk to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you're writing your love scenes, do you get to a point and then just shut the door and then move on to the next, or do you actually get to the finish line?
It depends. It depends on who that particular character is and what's going on with them. I say 50-50. It really depends on what that scene is and what's going on with them. I think with Olivia, I was more of the close the door. Where everybody else, I'd probably go in a little harder, a little more in detail. So it just all depends on what's going on with that particular character and their storyline at that time.
Okay, that's a good question. It's always interesting to find out what other people do, because you do have some people who be like, oh Lord, this
That is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah. Because I'm like that, like you said, go with the flow of the story. Whatever needs to be going on, then that's fine. Because like I was saying, the research and stuff in the books. She gave me. Okay, she gave me a Zane anthology. Okay. So, with that, you got, it's like they picked stuff out of a whole bunch of different authors' stuff. They put the best ones in the front. By the time you get to the end, I was looking like, they said this was good writing? Who did that? And I'll tell you maybe which book it was. But I was like, okay. At this point, I've learned what to do and what definitely not to do. Oh my God. And the funniest, weirdest thing in doing research is reading male authors. You sometimes we'll just say no. No, because I've read a couple of male authors that were really good with their writing. I actually read Across the Ball by this guy who was writing sci-fi fantasy. And he was just all about the the title of it had to do with how to write great scenes. So he proudly, and I do mean proudly, shared some of his particular scene. To which, by the time I finished reading it, I was laughing my butt off because I was like, okay, I understand the whole premise of stuff being fantasy and aliens and all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. But this is just, I tell you, this was just way beyond. I was like, if this is not the biggest how not to do blog I've ever read, because this had nothing to do with what to do. It was how not. You can find anything on the internet. Right. So,
Usual and stuff going through my
you might not be too far for this right now. I'm telling you, I'm retarded with it. But anyway, now when I first started writing, I started feeling my way and basically, which was a big surprise to me, gained readers and followers when I first started up my blog. And it is so funny that during that time, I had one of my most read posts at that time, back in like 2012 or whatnot, or 2011, I think, had to do with writers being crazy, creatively crazy, creatively crazy. I can't even say it. And so I always like to make this joke about since most writers do have this, or creative people, whether it's musicians, poets, or whatever, we're all just not necessarily on the same train as everybody else.
Right.
You might be on a little bit on the crazy bus, just a little bit. Yeah, that's why I say it's okay. And I think a lot of us tend to deal with life and everything and using our writing as like psychotherapy. That way we don't have to get in fields.
That's okay too.
Yes, it is. And I always say that if I was in a padded room, my straight jacket would be purple. What color would yours be? Or would you even be in the room with me?
Blue. With pink polka dots.
Yes. With pink polka dots. All right. All right. Well, see, that's
Gotta make it cute.
gotta be cute. Yeah, I think at this point, I'm just like any color purple looks to me. So, writer's block, something everybody has to tackle. Don't you hate it? You got that we got all the creative juices flowing and everything's going. You finally got that moment. You can have to get off work. It's late. You're tired. You got one eye open, but you like, hey. And then you get in there, and then all of a sudden it's like somebody pulled the battery out your brain. What do you do to get over writer's block?
I write through it.
You force your way through it?
Yeah, I do. And what I will do, because I go back and reread it, and I can tell, I'll get back to that because I'm like, oh, no, that didn't work out at all. And I'm going to scratch that out, and this is what I'm going to put in. I used to, and the reason I do that is because before I became published and I would get to that writer's block place, I would just walk away, and I might not come back to it for more than a month or so, a few months at a time. I remember at one particular point, I think I walked away from writing for about, it was almost a year.
Ooh.
And I
Wow, that's a
was
long time.
extremely frustrated. I just felt like, why am I doing this? And what's the point of purpose? And it's not, and even though writing had always been therapeutic for me at that time, it was very frustrating for me. And I just couldn't figure out why. So now I won't ever allow myself to do that anymore. I just go to a point where I'm like, I'm going to write through this. And so I'll write something, and it may not be, and I'll know it when I'm writing it. I'm like, I know I'm going to go back and get rid of this, but I got to keep going. And I push myself, and I get back to my zone, and I'm flowing again. And I just go back and get rid of it and put what should be there.
That's good. That's good. I have the tendency to just kind of find something else better to do. And sometimes I even have to just be like, you know what? I'm just going to chop this up to, I just can't feel the character right now. So it's not like I don't, cause see, I'm not a pantser. I'm an outliner. I've got to have my whole outline, and even though I may not stick to the outline, and it's so funny because here lately, I found that even though I do the outlining, well, I was gonna say by the time I get to the end, everything's completely and totally changed, but that's the whole point of just doing an outline anyway. It's just to have a guidepost, and I know especially since I've gone back to work, it's been having that outline and the chapter breakdown and everything works good for me because if I'm trying to squeeze in time writing while at work, it's like literally you have like 1 hour to eat, try to find some peace and quiet and turn that writer brain on and get it off the work brain. So it's like the fastest way for me to do it is to have that outline where I can just like take this. This is the chapter we're working on today, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens. Read it, and right. Turn on the time. We have 45 minutes to an hour. You know what I'm saying? And then ding, 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 up, time to go back to work. Because if I didn't, then Lord knows if anything was trying to get finished. Because sometimes, and that even helps when after a long day when I go home, and it's like, okay, well, I've got maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm sitting here fighting going to sleep. What am I supposed to be writing?
But that brings structure and balance to you too, because you got it like that. You know what I mean? So it's like you know that you have a certain amount of time you have to write for.
Yeah.
You got your timer, girl. I admire you because I am so chaotic. And I just honestly, it's like it hit me in the butt. Oh, I'm gonna go write. What? Oh, I was in the midst of frying chicken. Bianca, you finish off that chicken for me.
Well, I can tell you, this last week or so, the two youngest that I have, they're 17 and 15 at the house.
We're the same age.
Oh,
same exact ages.
There you go. We've been trying to get them to get out from behind the iPads, phones, television, and everything else. And it's like, look, folks is working around here. Folks is tired when they come. You ain't gonna sit in this house all summer and not cook. So we've been doing cooking. So I'm once again trying to find a routine that works. So last week was awesome. It was like best week of the summer because not only was I able to come home and get some stuff done, I was actually able to sit there in the living room and give instructions on how to cook and have them cook together, or either my son cooks. I gotta make cook twice to back to back. Woo! And one day I was there to I wasn't able to eat it that night, and he was like, "Oh, I packed your lunch. I put something. I think you might want." So I was like, "Okay." So he had baked some chicken. He baked fries and chicken. No, he just baked the chicken. So I got to work, and I was like, looking at chicken like, "Well, I didn't actually show him how to do this." So my first thing I'm gonna hope is that when I cut through here, it's not gonna be pink at the bone. It wasn't. And I took a bite. I was messing that one. I was like, "Man, that's so good chicken. Why are you not doing that?"
You know what? And I have to honestly say, now, my son, my youngest son, my 15-year-old, he is good at breakfast.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I love the earrings.
I know.
I love them.
I was going to say that.
But I got to show him off.
Because they flashed me for a few minutes ago. I'm like,
And they are.
might not be making money.
You know what? And I love butterflies too. So I always trip off of you because I know you love them. I love them too. But I don't think it's a big thing. But oh no. Oh Lord, she might have her hands me. But my daughter is phenomenal at cooking. And so ever since I started this job that I'm working with now, last August, I would come home and because I work a lot more than I've ever had to work in my entire life. But she's already cooked the meal. And I'm not talking about hamburgers and fries. The girl will go in there and she's got the fried chicken, she's got, mashed potatoes, she can go in there and she gets the vegetables with it and the bread, and she'll cook a full meal. Her only thing is, what is it that you want me to cook? Now, if I leave it to her and I don't tell her, it ain't gonna happen. But if I tell her, hey, and I've got to get back now that they're getting ready to get back to school, I got to get back to drafting out my menu, putting it back on the refrigerator, because as long as she sees it, she knows what's going on. She'll go in there, she'll just do it and make it happen. My husband,
what y'all say? Y'all want some Chinese? Y'all want some McDonald's? I'm like, and he can cook. That's where she got her gift from. He actually taught me how to cook. But it ain't happening. And the baby boy, his thing is, we got some cakes, we got some pies. He can eat sugar for dinner.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man.
So we want a meal. And unfortunately, it falls on us females to keep it moving.
But as I told the kids, like I told them, I was like, you know what, this week has been awesome because y'all have been cooking. And while y'all are cooking, I'm able to spend at least an hour or so and working on this book while I'm overseeing what you're doing. And I'm like, that's not too bad of a trade-off in the balance. And and I'll stop and get in and go help and do whatever needs to help, needs to be done if they don't really know or understand how to do it or whatnot. But I'm just like so stoked that wow, we did this for a whole week. Them kids are really good. You should start with it. To do it for you.
About halfway grown. Y'all gonna be out in a few years. What you gonna do then?
Exactly.
That's always my thing.
So that's been a great way to be able to find some form of balance with working and
support system in place. You really do.
you're right, because you definitely can't do it without it. So here's a question. Book reviews. Love them or hate them?
I'm good with them, and I have to say, for the most part, I've had good book reviews. I had to learn how to get to a place where I accept whatever they put out there. And I had 2 bad book reviews, and it was for Is the Grass Really Greener? And what happened was,
I know also that starts with what happened was when you got to go half-ass.
so
It's a good story.
there were 2 bad, and one that wasn't bad, but she did have some critical feedback. And with hers, I kind of got over my feelings a little bit, and my husband said, well, why don't you reach out to her and make her a beta? And I was like, make her a beta? He was like, yeah. He was like, because she's not as drawn in at that time. That's when I still had everybody who was like, oh, it's great, it's wonderful, and not that it wasn't there, but they was reading the story rather than, how it flows and everything else they're supposed to be looking out for. And so I did end up pulling her in as a beta reader, and she was great. And then, but the other 2, they gave Is the Grass Really Greener? 1 because they said, this isn't a Christian novel. And I was like, I never put it under a Christian novel. It's women's fiction. I don't know where they got that from. And so one of them, she was like, I couldn't even finish reading it. Well, if you couldn't finish reading it, why did you review it in the first place? So those were the 2. But I did honestly, it was all new to me, and I kind of got in my feelings. And my husband was like, come on back up out that pit. You will be good. And I was like, that's why I didn't want to become published. It was like, now that it's happened to you, suck it up, keep it moving. Because
it won't be the last one.
It won't be. And I was good. And I am good. It's like, and it reminded me of something. I worked for the YMCA for 12 years. And I had a former boss, and somebody had quit, and they wrote all these horrible reviews on there. And she said, you know what? She said, it's fine. She said, it's okay that they feel that way. This place is not for everybody. And I have to think about that, when it comes to my novels. It's not for everybody, but who it is for, and whoever does get that message, then that's great. I did what I was supposed to do, and I followed in the line that, he led me in, and that's all I can ask for at the end of the day. If it inspired that one person, if it entertained that one person, if I got that message through and they connected it and they took from it what I want them to take from it, which is you can overcome your challenges and obstacles as long as you have faith in yourself, faith in God, and belief in yourself. You can overcome your limitations, and it doesn't, your happily ever after doesn't have to be like someone else's.
Yeah.
It may not be that you and Bruce ran happily ever after down the street. You know what? You might just become this CEO diva and you don't have him by your side right now, but that's okay too. Whatever it is that
happily ever after is you divide it and make it your own. You know, and I think that's all I want people to know is just live your best life ever and just keep on being phenomenal with you. That's all we can ask.
I like it. You got a question? It's not a question, it's a comment. Marcella said, I noticed a lot of my Black authors are working women. It just seems it is hard to be an author, but a Black author at that.
Interesting observation.
Yeah. I think it's the passion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would agree, but I think it's the passion that drives us.
Yeah, I think so. Because like I said, with me, I was a stay-at-home mom when I first started writing. And I tell you what has from that time I've gone from stay-at-home to part-time, well, volunteering to part-time to full-time. And one thing I've learned from all of this is to appreciate the amount of time that I used to have and the importance of finding and making the time now. And because I now have limited amount of time, I find I have to really focus on making that time count. Because unlike back in the day when I just had, from whatever time to whatever time, I don't have that anymore. Like, mentally, I can't. I'm just too tired sometimes. Which I have to say, I give it to all the authors out there, especially the ones who are single parents, because I know a few that are like single parents. They got a job, they travel, but I swear to God, they be popping out 300-page books like every couple of months, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, did you sleep? What is that? Okay, so how many books do you have, or do you have an average amount of books that you'll write in a year?"
It fluctuates for me. It honestly fluctuates for me. So right now I have 6 published. There are 2 that have been published and pulled back and need to go back out there again. And then there are 4 others that are completed and just need to go to the editors. 2 of them just recently came back from betas. So I've got them out there, but that's because I'm always writing. And I have no life other than being a wife, a mother, and an author. That pretty much is my life, and that was one of the other things I told my husband. I said, I'm about to go insane, and I need a vacation. I just need to go away from everything. And initially we were supposed to be going to Destin, but ended up going to Savannah, and but when I do travel, which is very few and far between, I'm always saying, I've got to do this more. And I think it's essential to keeping some type of balance in your life. Not only balance, to just give you more material, refreshing your mind, refreshing your spirit, so you can put your best out there. I'll probably, this year alone, we're in July, I have that. Yeah, July. I can't believe my kids are getting ready to school on July 31st. I'm still, my mind, yes, my mind is still messed up about that. I wish. I actually like having mine at home. But this year, I have completed thus far 3 novels. Wow. That I just need to put out there. For you. I just got to put them out, and that's the other part. It's just scheduling that time. Thank you. Scheduling that time. I'm still working on the one. Well, I'm still working on the one. I will write them. But there again, like I said, I could be sitting in the living room with my daughter and we're watching a movie or something, and I'm sitting there writing even as I'm watching the movie. Or, it may be during homework time. I'm sitting there writing and they're doing homework. I'm just always finding those times. But the downside of that is I do need more balance, more organization, because my husband's like I said about the kids earlier, he was like, you become a drone. If it's not the phone, it's the laptop. And I'm like, put it away for a little while. He's like, you good. You just need to breathe sometimes. And I know I do. It's my passion. It drives me. And it's like, I think in those moments, I feel like I'm at my greatest ever, because it's like everything that's in me, I'm just pouring it out there. There's no reservation, no judgment, no anything. It's just raw and it just goes out, and I just love that. You know?
That's awesome. Hands, like I said, hands up to you, girl. You, whew. And again, I'm still playing. I've been doing other stuff now. I've been doing other stuff, you know. But yeah, just that one, and I have literally in the last week and a half maybe really started buckling down because I'm like, okay, I got to get this done because I got other stuff that I want to do, and I can't focus on anything else until this is done. So,
But there again, you do this, you know, and you've got other shows,
yeah.
and then you're outside of that, you're also out there promoting a lot. I don't do a lot of promotions. That's something that I need to do more.
I know the marketing and promotion game is.
Yeah, I just wish I could just snap my fingers and it was done because
I wish I had somebody just do it for me. Like,
yeah,
let me just give you the stuff.
and let me hire you, and then you handle it for me. And I would love that. And all I have to do is write. This is all I really want to do anyway. I'm not a salesman. I'm very introverted, so I just want to go ahead and do this. I'm good, you know. I'm good.
And that's where those companies that do the sell marketing and promotional packages make their money because they know they got folks like us who's like, I don't have that kind of time. And I also ain't got that kind of money, so I got to go figure out how to make it happen.
Skeptical about a lot. Like, wow, are you really on that? You know, I question a lot. I'm not going to just readily jump in, but I, wish that there was that just sort of magic potion to just make it all happen and not have to worry about it anymore. That would be amazing.
Now, I know you have two different things that you do every year. There's the 20 Days of Love author blogging event that you have that I know I've had the privilege of being a part of. And the other one, what's the other name of the other one?
The other one is March Madness.
The March Madness, yes. Now, I think that's an awesome thing that you do too. And like I said, I appreciate being a part of it because it's like, just like for your anniversary that you just had, was last month, wasn't it? Where you had the whole, hey guys, come on over to my page and we're going to talk and share your books and everything. I was like, yes, thank you for the invite because, stuff like that has definitely been appreciated because, like say, sometimes you get into that group of authors that you got some who have a lot of time on their hands so they can do a lot of marketing and promoting, and then you got others like yourself who, because of just life in general, you just don't have that kind of time, but it needs to be done. So just having that opportunity to be able to share your stuff with your fellow authors, readers is definitely a privilege. I know back when I first got started, and again when I was at home, when I first started my blog, I did a lot of marketing and promoting for other authors on my blog. I had like Writer Wednesday, and it was like introduction to a new reader, to a new author every Wednesday. Or if you had a blog release, yes, I can do that. But I don't have that kind of time anymore because I got to a point to where I think I had people actually hitting me up saying, "Hey, you got this day available?" And it's like, sure, yeah, okay, no problem. But then it got to a point where it's like, I can't do it anymore.
And I think that's like when I first started my blog, I used to blog Monday through Friday. There again, I had Monday,
Wednesday, Friday.
See, I was at my other job. I had time to do it, and I would do everything on Friday. On Fridays, I would write up all of my pieces for the next week.
That's a job by itself.
It is. It definitely is. And so when I started this one, I was like, oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. So then I scaled back to Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which is what I do now. And I'll do my motivational Monday on motivational Monday moment on Mondays. And then on Wednesday, I do my Writer Wednesday. But my Writer Wednesday is where I share some piece either from a current release, an old release, or something that I'm working on. And then on Fridays is my Fab Friday feature, and that's where I feature another author and bring them out and share their new release or whatever. And I usually stay booked up for that about a month in advance. Here recently, I was booked up 2 months out, which, but with in February, Like 20 Days of Love gives other authors a chance to come on and share some type of love story, just, promoting love throughout that month. And they can come on there, they share their excerpts, their bios, all the links and everything they want. And then March, my birthday month.
Okay.
So that's what March Madness is.
Madness.
Exactly. It's celebrating my birthday all month long, and I invite everybody to come in one day. And it's not, just the same with 20 Days of Love. It's the entire month, Monday through Friday. And so they come in and they share their works, but they also have to give something away. Whatever they want to give away is up to them. There's no specific stipulations on it. Sometimes it may be a book, it can be a mug, it can be a T-shirt, it can be a gift pack. Sometimes they do gift cards. Sometimes they do multiple things to multiple readers. It's strictly up to them. That's the only stipulation. I just, ask them to give something away to the readers. And we get a great turnout for that. I get a lot of authors that jump on 20 Days of Love. Hey, I want you, but I'm already booked, but I can put you on, March Madness, but this is what needs to be done. And so they're, I love that. I'll do it. And we get a lot of readers that turn out for that as well. So it's a really great opportunity to give back, because I feel like there's been so many people that have been supportive of me, mainly you and Chicky have been phenomenal resources for me in terms of finding out what I need to do for this, that, and the other. And I greatly appreciate it. And even for my readers, I have some phenomenal readers out there that they, give feedback. They're always pushing, especially my ladies in Grab. And there's so many out there. I don't want to call names and risk of forgetting to call out someone's name, but there's so many of them out there that, they are they share, my posts. They're writing great things on my posts when I share them. And so it's like, this is an opportunity to give back to them as well. And, I think that's what we should all do, just give someone else that opportunity that was given to us.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I actually like to think that this show is an evolution from what I used to be able to do on my website. And I have to thank my family for pushing me to do this show, because this would not have been happening if it wasn't for them saying, hey, you need to do this. Take advantage. Take advantage of this opportunity and whatnot, and really just reach out and be able to share. So I'm definitely enjoying it, because something that I know that I haven't been in a position to do a lot. Again, with working, because we were just talking about before we went on the air about being on social media and working and find the balance with life and writing and everything. I have strayed a bit from really connecting with folks the way I used to online. So I like this opportunity to actually get to know. It's one thing to know people online, and what you see and what you got time to talk about it, however many characters you feel like typing in a conversation. And it's different to have somebody here face to face, and you actually get to have a for real conversation and actually talk about more than just the books,
because you make a deeper connection there.
Yeah,
it's like, even when I used to come to, your writing group, and it was just like being with you and Chicky and all the other authors there, that was a huge thing, just, it's like, even though at one moment you're like, I'm tired today, but it's like, once you get there and we're all feeding and vibing off of each other, and you're making that connection, is such a beautiful thing. And I think even like sitting here today with me and you sitting here chatting, it's like, we hadn't seen each other in a while, so it was great seeing each other again. And then cutting up, especially with Lady Kane back there in the background. It's been good, and I think we need that. And that's something else I've got to push myself to do more, is get out there and do in-person events. And because I am so shy, I've not done them. And I know I need to, because it's like, once I did the one at the Clayton County Library. Once I get out there and I get in my flow, I'm comfortable. But it's the getting to that part that I struggle with. But I think we as authors need to do that, so that we can connect with our readers, and them being able to know who we are, and putting a face with the name, and meeting the person, and meeting them more than just, like you said, the characters behind the words, or just Facebook Live, but having that, in-person interaction, make a deeper connection that way. So they feel like, I know you,
Yeah. And that's another one of the goals that I have with this particular show, is being able to get
give an opportunity for your readers to get to know who you are. And like I said, especially here in the Atlanta area, with the Atlanta area, man, it is just so much talent that is out here. Be it movies or music or writing. And goodness gracious, especially where we're at in Clayton County, they seem to be those little yellow signs with the red cones be popping up everywhere. Like I was on my way to work the other morning, and there was one literally off of Forest Parkway. And as we were coming down Forest Parkway, we looked and look, there's all the movie trailers, and everyone, what are they putting over there today?
Also, right over there near Edgewood, the old, is it Oakland Cemetery? Right over there at King and Boulevard, they're always shooting movies around there. I think it's right over there by the Oakland train station. I used to go through all these back streets when I worked in downtown Atlanta, and they were always shut down because the movie trailers would always be out there. It was like, yeah, anybody can go and be an extra at any given time. If you ain't got nothing else better to do in Atlanta, you can go definitely be an extra on somebody's show.
I did that once.
Oh.
Yeah, back in my hometown in Griffin. And I can't remember the movie, but it was an HBO movie that was dealing with the life of Martin Luther King. And they were filming in the small town of Griffin where I grew up. And it was so funny because my friend and I, we both had just recently had babies. So we were both breastfeeding moms. And so we had the babies in the car. We were riding around and we were like, man, wow, this would be so cool. If we could just because we both at home, we had this.
That was Selma, Lord Selma.
Thank you. That's good.
Check that out so we can see.
You ain't ready to see it. Trust me. I barely saw myself, and I was like, who was there?
If you want to watch it for, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, no, just yeah. See, the reason why you won't see it is because, like I said, I barely saw myself, and that's only because I knew I was standing in this particular scene. Because the way they did the scene, it was a scene where Martin Luther King was just let out of jail, and we were the mob or the crowd that was standing outside, congratulating him being released from, so they coming all out. So it's like, oh, handshaking. Oh, yeah. We were all in the background going, literally silently, because they said, do it silently and make no noise. And we're all sitting there going, yeah, shaking our hands, yeah. And but silently. So it was like, we're going to take it from this side. All right, now we're going to redo the scene. We're going to do it from over here. Everybody go stand, switch up where you were standing at, who you were standing next to. Try to match up as couples if you can. So I had this little young dude decide he wanted to come put his hand all on my lower back. I'm like, all right now.
We're not the real actresses in this movie.
I know they said act like y'all a couple. But it ain't all that. Now, mind you, I did say, me and my friend, because it was funny because when we rolled up, we just rolled up to where they had a sign, or when we saw some people walking, and they had the signs, and we asked, well, how do you become an extra? And the lady was like, just show up here at 6 o'clock. We was like, what? We was running home trying to find babysitters, and again, we breastfeed, so it was like, pump. Because we didn't know how long we was going to be there. And it was so funny because we went through, when we showed up, they fed us. They had the food sitting there, food truck or whatever sitting out there in the alley. And, we got our little outfits, our period little outfits. They were like, find something that look like it fit you. Find the shoes, find you a little prop to go with it. We didn't necessarily get hair too much done, but it was like, no makeup done. It was like, oh, y'all ain't gonna be all close up, so you don't need no makeup. If you got someone on hand. But this was like the 1960s, so yeah, whatever. And it was a trip. Because once we did all of that, they fed us. We went and sat in a church, literally, for like 2 hours. While we were waiting for them to call us to come. They was like, all right, we need y'all to come on out. All right, y'all stand right here. This is how the scene is going to go, and blah, 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 blah. And we stood there and did it, and it was awesome. It was a fun experience. But like I said, when you see the movie, the scene is in black and white, but the camera kind of bouncing and jumping around on purpose.
Okay.
So you really don't see me.
It had to be a fun experience around the whole getting dressed up and everything.
It
Just
really,
being
it
part of
really
that
was.
atmosphere, that energy that was out there.
See, I hate when my mind goes blank on actors' names.
Uh-oh.
Clifton Powell.
No. I am.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Oh no,
That was the highlight of the experience. Touching. Terrence Howard. Yeah, because he was in the movie. So that was the most exciting part because we didn't know who was in the movie at all. We didn't really know. You kind of heard rumors of some people who had been around and had been working on set. But yeah, when it was like, yeah, Terrence Howard, I was like, Terrence Howard. So the moment he came walking out,
once they released him from Sparks and he came out, I have loved everything he's done from then on. I do. He's a person, girl.
All right, so.
Yes.
Marcella said she's opening another bottle because it's a good conversation.
Oh,
But she asked, when you finish one book, does another pop into your mind, or can you write 2 books at once?
I do write multiple books at once, and that is also another part of my writer's block thing. So when I get stuck on a particular character and I'm not feeling them, I'll push them to the side and I'll go write something else. Right now, I'm working on. There's a few different projects going on because I hear voices all the time. So writers really are crazy.
You hear voices.
I have a series that right now is just entitled Brothers. I haven't gone further than that. There are 4, and one of them is a mayor, one of them is a pastor, one of them is a construction worker who's recently been released from prison, and the youngest brother is, and he's a boxer, so, and he's really famous. So I'm working on their story, and it's actually, I'm still on book 1. I'm coming to a close on that, and the scandal that he gets caught up in, and how they got to where they got to. In their lives, being raised by a father who was very strong about work ethics and morals and religion, and yet they've all gone so far away from where they should be and how they were raised, including the pastor, especially the pastor. So I'm working on that one, and then I have one called Room 301 that I'm working on, and that's dealing with multiple personalities, and I'll leave that there. And then I am working on one called Photo Shoot, and that's actually a love story that I'm dabbling in. And I'm about halfway through that one, and that's the one that I said earlier when her personality was like one of the ladies at my job, who I think she has a phenomenal personality. It's about a photographer. She's a photographer, and she meets this NBA player who's at the end of his career, and what's going on with them too, and what she's come from, the relationship she's been dealing with in her life. So yeah, I tend to juggle multiple projects at once, and I think I've done so good so far. And once again, all shout out to my husband of keeping all of the personalities and the characters differentiated from one another so that they don't sound alike. But I do a lot of that because sometimes if I'm not feeling a story at this moment and I need to set it down, I still gotta write, then I can go over here like, oh, I'm feeling this really strong. Because that's what was happening with the brothers. I was really strong, and then some things happened, and then I was like, I'm kind of on the fence about the way I want it to go. So I stopped and set it to the side and kind of got started on Photo Shoot. So, and I just recently finished one called The One, and it's about an author's life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right, that's good. I was saying this about the most. I have not been able to write 2 stories at a time. About the most that I've been able to do is, like you said, you hit that writer's block, or you just can't keep that one going, but you had that thing. What my issue is, I'll have other characters that will start talking to me, and they will interrupt what I'm working on. Yeah. So that's like, I can't focus on this story. I literally have to either, like, I do have 2 characters in the Untitled story that I've literally done their character charts and just a basic outline of what I can see the story as being. It's probably like 12 pages long. And once I did that, that energy and that flow from that couple was like, okay, I won't say dead, but it's like, all right, it's been released.
Yeah.
But I don't have it to decide to pick up something and let's go ahead and start taking it a step further because I know I gotta finish this one right here. And then I have the same thing of where I haven't done character charts for, but just a whole nother genre that I'm toying with the idea of trying to do. And I've written just, I mean, like literally, this particular one is not even romance at all. It's more of like a kind of like maybe like a YA type story. I haven't really put the label on it just yet, but it's enough to where it came from, like you were saying, you get inspiration sometimes from dreams. It was some weird, crazy dream I had like 3 years ago that has stuck with me. And I'm like, I guess that means I need to do something with it because just every now and again, anytime you have something that hits you in a dream and 3 years later you're still can see it. I literally woke up at like 5 o'clock one morning before my alarm went off for work, and it was like, okay, I got basic names and blah blah blah, and I literally picked up my phone and hit that notepad. I got this long in my phone, and I'm like, "Ooh, okay, finally, it took 3 years to get that down, but okay." Just because I feel like I need to step away from. I love the butterfly memoirs. I love this series and everything. I love what I've been able to do with it and the way it's been received. But it's kind of like I feel like I need to do something completely different because even though it's not a butterfly memoir series novel, it's going to fall back into that. So I'm like, I have to find. And that's my author challenge right now.
Have you ever gotten to a point where you felt like you've grown tired of your series and you're ready to bring it to an end?
I guess. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I would say that's where I'm at now. When I originally started doing this series, it was supposed to be when I first started writing, it was just the one book, A Heart Not Easily Broken. But because the way I ended the story and the fact that I like Yasmin and Caitlin's character, after I had finished Ebony's story, I felt like I need to give Ebony a story. Then it's like, well, it can't be unfair and not give Caitlin a story. And then it was like, I think I can keep writing some more. I didn't say, oh, let's stop this series. Now it's like, let's now take it from the next point of view. Ebony had a brother, let's do him. And then he's got these two friends. So that's where the last 3 have been. So I'm on the last guy, which for me has been a challenge since I write from his and her point of view. It's my challenge with this series has been writing from making it be more of the male story, with the females having their own story too, whereas in the first 3 books it was more of the female and the men had their story. So it's been a different perspective that I've enjoyed writing, but it was destined to end at 6. So I'm on book 6 and I'm ready for book 6 to be over so I can find something new.
My series wasn't supposed to be a series. I swore I would never do series. And it was one big book. One big book.
Yeah, that was my book. I'm looking. Okay, now you gotta hold on. We gotta hold the people holding the word.
Okay.
And you just hand me something, I'll hold some.
Okay, those are the first 2.
These 2 right here.
And these are the last 2. So
I love the book cover. Thank you. Them without the sun, the light shining and reflecting too bad. I love the covers.
So it was, let's see, you've got 1, 2, and this is 3, and this is 4. And they were all one big book. And then my husband's like, Chelle, you got to do something different with it. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't know. He said, but this is not working. I said, what do you mean it's not working? He's like, it's not working. I don't know what part of that you don't understand. So then I sent it out to a couple of my beta readers, and they was like, it's good, but it's long. Well, and then the third beta reader, she happened to be an author. And she said, you need to break this down into a series and give them their own stories. I said, huh? And she was like, you need to give them their own stories. I don't really want to do that. She said, that's the only way it's going to work. And I was like, I don't want to write that long on these same people. And then she said, I'm willing to bet if you break it out, you'll see you've already got their stories fleshed out. And I did. And I already had one completed, two mostly completed, and the bones of 3 and 4. And so I was like, okay. And I went on and I was good, and I haven't regretted it since. But by the time I got to book 4, I was ready to bring it all to an end. I was ready to bring it all to an end.
And then they say all good things must come to an end at some point.
And now, so book 1 happens to be my daughter Bianca's favorite color. It's a deep blue, but it's closer to a purple, which is her favorite color. And then book 2 is my baby boy. Well, that used to be his favorite color, but there's no telling where he's at along the lines now. And then book 3 with the baby blue is my favorite, and book 4 with the black and red is my husband's. Both of those are his favorite colors. So I'll mess up in here a little bit. And my oldest son, God love him, because he sure think I didn't love him anymore. He also loved green. So my 2 boys are represented with the green.
Yeah, well, I love these. So, okay, so tell me about the Bejeweled title for the series.
Okay, so, oh my goodness. The House of Bejeweled is the name of the salon. And it started out that was what was going. I had these crazy names at first that my husband was like, what are you doing? Stop. And he plays a huge role in a lot of things that I do, from the cover creation to the titles. So he was like,
you guys do the covers yourself this time?
We put everything together, and we're not good graphic designers, so we pull it all together in a mock-up and send it to our cover designer and say, this is what we want, this is how we want it. I mean, literally showing her where this is the cross I want, these are the onyx stones. We made all of them different sizes. We resized them all and put them strategically where we wanted them, and told her, here, make it look professional. And that's what she does. So everything that's on here is what we do. And then we just send it to her, so she makes it look professional. And then she puts her little bling on it. She always puts that bling on it.
I think this one is like my favorite with the hairpiece.
That's the one that was actually more of me. So this one, it all started off when I knew I wanted to do something. Since we were, for the first time, getting our covers done professionally and not us doing them by ourselves completely. Yeah. So it was a different author, not the same author who told me to make it a series, but it was a different author. I reached out to a group of authors and said, I wanted what should I do? And so she sent me like some picture, and it had some satin, and it had something else on it. She was like, I think this will be good for what you're talking about. So I took the satin image, and then I decided to put, she had a piece of jewelry on it, I think it was. But I decided to do diamonds, a string of diamonds scattered. And we wanted something representative of the house, of, Bejeweled, of the hair salon. So that's where the whole scissors and comb came in. And then after we got that one, number 2 was my baby and my design. And I had the little, I had the spider hairpin in the middle. Spider hairpin.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's actually what I was just staring at, because I was like, wait a minute, I didn't realize that's an actual spider.
Yeah, and so, and then my cover designer, she threw in the little hairpins at the end, but because I wasn't certain what I wanted to go with it, but I knew I wanted that little spider hairpin, and then because it was all about what a tangle web we would.
Yeah.
So that's what that one was all about. And then in book 3, this is mostly my husband's baby. I knew that I wanted a locket with a broken heart. Wasn't quite sure what. He wanted the whole natural stone look, so he found some natural stones. The natural stones we originally found could not be used, so she had to find some other ones. But we got that, and then the locket that I found couldn't be used, but she found another one, which actually ended up being perfect because it was the 2 little doves in there, and it's all about peace. And so Olivia promotes peace, and that's what she's always all about. And this story, Olivia is an integral part of all of it because she is the owner of the salon. So she's always a main character in all of them. But then one of her stylists or nail techs or someone else is also another main character. Their stories being told as well. And then this final one, this is his baby all alone. He did that whole thing from where the onyx should go to what size they should be. And we both agreed that we knew we wanted the cross, but that's his baby. And it was also his idea that since we started out book 1 with the satin, that we would do all of them with that satin background. They would just be different colors. So that pretty much went that way. And then as far as the title is concerned, with all of them being Bejeweled, that goes back to when I said I had Bejeweled, I had Bedazzled, I had all these Bewitched, I think. I had all this crazy stuff, and he was like, what are you doing? I was like, because they're all, and I had some perfect reason for why it all made sense. He was like, no, that's not going to work. I was like, Mom, how am I going to differentiate them? He was like, we're going to do this. And he came up with The Flight of an Angel. And The Flight of an Angel was kind of twofold. It was Angel going through everything that she went through in her marriage to Black and how she would grow through it all, as well as him saying that it was representative of my growth as an author in this industry and everything that he had seen me go through and how I have grown as a woman since he's known me. So that's what that title was. And then we've got What a Tangled Web We Weave, which is book 2, A Beautiful Blend, book 3, and Standing Strong, book 4. And A Beautiful Blend and Standing Strong, he wasn't really saying those for the title. He was talking to me about something. And we were still kind of trying to figure out, well, what are these going to be? And when he said those, I was like, that's it. He was like, what? I said, you did it again. He was like, what'd I do? I was like, you got the title. He said, I did. I said, yeah. He was like, what was it? I was like, when you said, and he was like, okay, if you say so. So that's how those titles came about, where he was more purposeful with his first two. The third and fourth came about as him just talking.
Okay. All right then. Well, that's cool. Well, I love hearing about everything that you've learned. Well, your experiences of being a self-published author. Is there any advice you would like to give to anybody who's tuning in who is looking to become self-published? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Before you ask that question, I believe Lady Kane has another question. You guys are down to 4 minutes. And if you have 2 other questions, really 3 questions. Is it hard to end a series, or do you know when to end a series?
I would say it was hard in only saying goodbye to those characters. And I really didn't want to say goodbye right away. But what I have done with all of my characters is weave them in some other book. They might pop up. Whether it's the House of Bejeweled, somebody is going to their salon, they're meeting Olivia, or whatever it is, they're there. Or Christina from Is the Grass Really Greener coming to interview Olivia in one of the Bejeweled books. So it's not, I know when to end it because I'm sick and tired of them. I'm tired of telling their story. They give them a last and third now. But it's hard in saying goodbye to them, yes.
Okay. Are any of your main characters based on real persons in your life, past or present?
No, they're not. Like I stated earlier, they all hold some semblance, the males, except for Tyrone, they hold some semblance of my husband's personality, and all of the females hold some semblance of my personality. They all have little intricate pieces of us, and that's about it. I don't, other than the one that I'm working on now, I've not done anything that's related to other people.
And the last question is your avatar one of the characters?
What do I have up right now?
I don't know. I
don't think I've got
she's talking about
it up anymore. I think it's my picture up again. Because I do switch out. Sometimes I use my book covers as my avatar, but right now I've got me.
So yeah.
All right, awesome.
2 minutes.
All right, so we're after that. I guess we'll bring it to a close. And say, first of all, thank you so much, Chelle, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It has been so fun. It has been.
Before and after, before and during.
Really got to start keeping those before things. And doing a whole different people get they need to see what goes on behind the scenes. I'm telling you guys, it's for the grown only. Grown.
All right, so Chelle, please tell everybody where they can find
find you and your books?
You can find me at ChelleRamsey.com. That's ChelleRamsey. Once again, that's ChelleRamsey.com. And I am on Facebook at Chelle Wright, ChelleWrites. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Undeniably Chelle. I'm on Pinterest and I am on Google Plus as Chelle Ramsey. And you can find all of my books on Amazon, paperback and paperback as well as the ebooks. And you can get those under Chelle Ramsey, or you can go to bit.ly/Chelle's Book Cafe. Once again, that's bit.ly/ Chelle's Book Cafe.
All right, that is a lot. Okay. All right, so everybody, if you didn't have a chance to, if you're listening in on Spreaker.com and you would like to actually see the video, please follow us on Facebook at It's Lit with MJ Kane. You'll be able to find this podcast again in just a few moments. If you just want to listen again on Spreaker, it will be available tomorrow on Sunday. Good God. See, I'm in here so much. I'm feeling like we're just getting ready to go into Saturday. I'm trying to give myself an extra day off.
Me too. I'm not ready to go back. I've been on vacation. I'm definitely not ready.
But in the meantime and in between time, other Grind Time ATL podcasts that you can, Grind Time Radio, ATL podcast that you can tune into. Every Friday is Major Shenanigans with myself and Lady Kane. We're just sitting in here talking about life and all the crazy fun stuff that goes on. That's every Friday from 7 to 9. Every other Saturday, which will actually come next Saturday, you can catch Lady Kane, doing the party team. If you like Major Shenanigans, but you want to get a little bit more grown-up stuff, check out the party team. That's every other Saturday from 8 to 10. Starting again next week, and that one is actually available live on Facebook. On Facebook Live, Spreaker.com, and iTunes and iHeartRadio. And that's also the same thing for Major Shenanigans. It's also available in all 4 of those formats. If you want to find out about what's going on in the underground with music, tune in on Thursdays for Really Real Thursdays with Pretty Tigger. And that is from 8 to 11, also available on Spreaker.com. And I believe that is going to be it for me and Michelle this evening. We'll be back. Well, I'll be back. Well, me and Lady Kane will be back. And another Saturday. Just tune in. Stay tuned to the Facebook page to find out who's going to be the next visitor. Thank you very much for tuning in. Y'all have a good evening.